In the annals of the NYC Bloods, few names inspired as much fear and respect as Peter "Pistol Pete" Rollick. His street name, Peter Rolak, sometimes known as Pistol Pete, which was not just for show, it was a reflection of his reputation. Rolak was the leader of Sex Money Murder, a particularly violent and notorious blood set based in the Soundview section of the Bronx. Under his command, Sex Money Murder became synonymous with ruthless violence and drug trafficking, earning a reputation as one of the most feared gangs in the city. Rolak wasn't just a street-level banger, he was a strategic and charismatic leader. He built Sex Money Murder into a disciplined and profitable criminal enterprise. They controlled a significant portion of the drug trade in their territory and were infamous for their willingness to use extreme violence to protect their turf and eliminate rivals. Pistol Pete's leadership was absolute, and his orders were carried out without question. He was, for all intents and purposes, the king of his domain, a figure of underworld legend in the Bronx. The sheer brutality and scale of Sex Money Murder's operations inevitably drew the attention of the federal government. The FBI and DEA launched a massive investigation into Rolak and his organization, meticulously documenting their crimes. They saw him not just as a gang leader, but as the CEO of a violent racketeering enterprise. The feds were determined to take him down and dismantle his entire operation, viewing it as a cancer in the community. In the late 1990s, the hammer finally fell. Peter Rolak was arrested and hit with a sprawling federal indictment that included charges for multiple murders, drug conspiracy, and racketeering. The evidence against him was mountainous, and he was facing the possibility of the death penalty, or at the very least, multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. The fearsome Pistol Pete was caged, his back against the wall, facing a future where he would never be free again. This is where the legend of Pistol Pete Peter Rollick takes a sharp, controversial turn. Faced with the ultimate penalty, the man whose name was built on a foundation of murder and unwavering street loyalty made a calculated decision to survive. Peter "Pistol Pete" Rolak began to cooperate with the federal government. The leader of Sex Money Murder, one of the most violent shot callers in the history of the NYC Bloods, agreed to become a government witness. It was a move that no one on the street saw coming. His cooperation was extensive and devastating. Rolak provided testimony against his own crew members and other high-ranking Bloods. He gave federal prosecutors a guided tour of his own criminal empire, detailing murders, drug operations, and the entire command structure of Sex Money Murder. His word from the witness stand sent dozens of his former associates to prison for decades. He was the government's star witness, the ultimate insider who knew where all the bodies were buried, sometimes literally. The fallout from his testimony was catastrophic for the Bloods, particularly for the sets operating in the Bronx. He effectively decapitated his own organization and crippled several others. The man who once ordered murders was now using his knowledge to help prosecutors secure life sentences for the very men who had been loyal to him. The betrayal was seen as absolute, a complete renunciation of the code he once brutally enforced. In exchange for his wide-ranging cooperation, Peter Rollick was spared the death penalty and a life sentence. He received a significantly reduced sentence, though he remains in federal custody, likely in the Witness Protection Program. His decision saved his own life, but it ended the reign of Sex Money Murder and cemented his legacy not as a feared gangster, but as one of the most high-profile informants in New York's history. The story of Pistol Pete Peter Rollick is a chilling lesson in self-preservation. It shows that when faced with the absolute finality of a death sentence or life in a cage, even the most feared and seemingly unbreakable street legends can be turned. His cooperation was a massive intelligence coup for the feds and a wound from which the Bronx Blood sets would take years to recover, if they ever truly did. The name Pistol Pete Peter Rollick, once a symbol of terror, became a synonym for treachery.